there's something that I have in common with Telerik, which is a shared passion for developers. You know, you talked about the 1.4 million in the developer community. It's a pretty big developer community. Developers are increasingly important when it comes to driving the future, not just of our technology industry, but the future of our society as a whole. And so I want to talk a little bit about that today, and specifically when we look at success in that space, the best kinds of apps that come out of it, what are these masterpieces and how do you create them and how is this changing going forward? But it's easy to talk about things like mobile and social and cloud and all these things that are changing the way that we build applications. It's another thing entirely to actually do it and to execute and to make those changes when you've got that existing code base and you've got those existing projects that you have to convert. So our panelists today are the folks that are actually having to do that and having to execute and having to deal with all the challenges of bridging those two worlds. And so I think it's probably better that you hear as much from them as possible instead of just hearing from me talking about the theory of working in these two worlds. I want to pick up on the idea of a masterpiece. And even the idea of a software masterpiece. And I'm going to start on this by just asking each of you to kind of think about, or you know, if you want to, what a software masterpiece means to you.
One of the things to me when I hear you ask that question about a masterpiece, I would add, for me, thinking that a lot of it's in the eyes of the beholder, is would you really miss that software if it didn't exist, at least anymore? I mean, it feels a little strange to say, but I think even our current software that we've just developed on the Telerik tools is a masterpiece in that we've taken the NASA Planetary Archive and added so much value to it, pulled in daily reports that are not actual archive products, and a lot more information that the science team knows about but would not make it out to the planetary science community, and integrated all that in together with the data. And to me, that's part of the masterpiece of this tool, is that we're giving more to the long term. And I hope that actually with upcoming missions, they'll plan to save a lot more of the documentation as part of that process coming out of it. So I think that's kind of the masterpiece there in filling a void.
It's something that's worth repeating.
It absolutely is.
From my side, I would say, if I start with, what do I consider a masterpiece? So I would say something that achieves its purpose in a really amazing way, and that could be amazingly simple or amazingly complex. And then if I look on the software side of that, I'm always pretty amazed by applications that meet a specific purpose in a very simple way, and a lot of times that's unexpectedly simple. And I think what we're working on now, the mobile database stuff, I think that's a masterpiece in the work. But I think maybe talking about something that I wasn't personally involved in, but I use a lot, and something a little more, a bit modern, is the app Uber. Right? Uber is an amazing piece of work. It took something that, I've hated the taxi experience my entire life. It's just something uncomfortable about it. It's awkward, and they've taken that and created just an amazing product around it. They've done something
because of the business model as the software itself, right?
Yeah, my touch point, I'm a consumer of that app, so for me it's the application, and yes, I understand all of the business aspects of it, and they're separating me, they're putting me in direct contact with the driver. They're separating out the awkwardness of payment and tipping and all of that uncomfortable and uncertain areas of the application, and just really focusing on making me comfortable, giving me what I want right when I want it, and getting me where I need to be. And the whole aspect, the whole uncomfortable awkwardness of the experience is now gone. The mobile device is your touch point, at least from the consumer point, but yes, revolutionizing the entire business process is also been done. And I know it's not simple underneath, but from the top, it feels very simple. And that's, I think they've done an amazing, masterful work on that.
I think the one that I look to again in modern times, that's been around for now 5 years, that the first time I experienced it, I just had that magical moment, was Dropbox. Yeah. And I think to me, masterpieces are those where the users just fall in love with the product because it does something in such a simple way and it just works. And Dropbox had that kind of feel when suddenly you would have a file that you drop into a folder that was on your computer at home and magically would appear on your computer at work. That is the kind of a thing that I think
as masterpieces go, it certainly got a whole lot of imitation, which is one of the signs of a true masterpiece.
Exactly, exactly.
One of the things I think makes software masterpieces different than traditional masterpieces of art, let's say, is they're not static. A traditional masterpiece we think of as being done, it goes in a museum and it lives on forever in a static state as a masterpiece. But software, because the nature of the problems it solves, is continually expected to change and evolve. Otherwise, it actually becomes not a masterpiece. It becomes a dustbin of the past.
It's actually closer to a piece of music. If you think about a popular hit, every time you see it live, it evolves and changes.
And it needs that life. I mean, software needs that life to keep changing. And so in many ways, I mean, the consumer apps get all the attention often because they're the ones we all interact with daily. But one of the things we get to see often when we work with our customers are the apps that don't hit the public app stores, the apps that make businesses go and make people move and get their jobs done, but aren't the Dropbox fun or not the fun of the things we get to play with on our phones. And when I look at those, and what defines a masterpiece there, it really is the ability to build an app that can evolve effectively over time. Because I see so much disposable software created because it was created once, it was a single point in time masterpiece. When it came time to create version 2, throw away that masterpiece and create a new one. So I really think in many ways masterpieces of software, those ones that can stand the test of time and evolve, and really from a productivity standpoint for where we look, the developers can make that evolution happen kind of easily, and they're not basically rewriting every time. But I think masterpiece for software is a very different kind of thing than it is with other kinds of forms of art. And for me, that's what really defines a masterpiece. And as far as predicting the next big one, I think there's no question that mobile is where it's going to happen. In terms of inflection points of software development, if the late 90s was an inflection point from desktop to web, I think right now we're very much in the thick of the inflection point from web to mobile. And so I think we will see those innovations happen. And examples like Uber are certainly showing how mobile can drive that. But I don't think I have a crystal ball powerful enough to predict the next Uber that will be coming your way soon.
This is more of my, I think, personal wish list for my next masterpiece that I wish will really become a masterpiece, the Google car. I really hope it solves everybody's commuting problems because I think people don't know how to drive. And I think computers can do a better job.
I think it'll go beyond mobile. I mean, mobile is the one that we're in the middle of today, but this is going to be more the integration of software and corresponding hardware into our daily lives. So cars are one of those things. Wearables are the ones that are on the horizon. And there will be many, many more integration points of software into our life, and then that will, a lot of that will fade as far as like our us recognizing that's software or simulations.
I think it's correct to feel kind of cloudy about, hazy about what's the next innovation. And I think using something like the Telerik platform as far as making development so much easier for cloud solutions, we probably won't know what the next masterpiece is because it's going to only affect maybe a handful of users who really rely on that tool. They, 6, 7 people in an office who need a tool, and they develop it so easily because now the development tools that support them make it so that my dog can't program, but I think that it probably won't be a large masterpiece that affects a third of the users in some given segment, but maybe just a small group of people, and that those masterpieces will just show up in a lot of small projects.
So we're not creating masterpieces, we're creating, you know, sketches that hopefully get us to a masterpiece, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, even Leonardo sketched before he actually painted or cast bronze, right?
Every software has a life cycle, like we do, right? Version 1 has the end of it, which comes to your point, we need to rewrite it. But that's good because...
So it's actually a key point for software masterpieces.
Yeah.
If something is truly a masterpiece, you're going to end up having to rewrite it.
Yeah, version 2, version 2x, 3, right? Now, when it gets to a point where you don't need to rewrite, you're in trouble, right? Because a masterpiece has, you know, lost its value or it's ended, right? So it's a problem we deal with rewriting, but that means it's a masterpiece.
Well, I certainly want to thank you all for coming.